Hey everybody, welcome to Tuesday. And this is more of a discussion starter. People ask for more game content. So this is more of a discussion starter than my firm opinions on this because it's something I'm struggling with. And it's something I've been struggling with ever since I played Yakuza 0. You guys know I saw God when my Twitch viewers said, play Yakuza, play Yakuza. And I did, and I didn't think that was a game I was going to like. I ended up loving it. And part of the thing I loved about it was an open world game, but the maps were on the smaller side. And you kept going back to the same locations over and over again for new adventures instead of this big sprawling map so big that most locations you only encounter once. And that's got me thinking ever since, mulling over the idea, have open world games just gotten too big? So this is what we're talking about today. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/LeannaK, or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it. Coffee.com/LeannaK. All right. The other game that I loved because the map was a reasonable size was Ghost of Tsushima. That was a good size game. You could get through the story in a relatively reasonable amount of time without, feeling like you were cheaped out. And then they got DLC and all these side missions and, not all of them were fighting. And I thought that was a really, really good sized game. And then I got into Far Cry 6, which wasn't bad. It was big. I mean, the islands and getting between the islands, it's much better on the PS5 because of the fast travel. It's actually fast. But, that was all right. But then I got into Horizon Forbidden West, and to me, that game is just too big. It's too big on multiple layers. And I haven't even started Elden Ring, and I don't know when I'm going to start Elden Ring because holy shit, I do not have 170 hours to throw at a game right now. There's other games I want to play, and I mean, it's not a game that's good for Twitch because you have to concentrate so much, and I like to engage with the chat, so I need something that's less difficult, or at least difficult in shorter bursts, the way, say, Cuphead is. Because, you do the level, you die, you can chat, and then you can go back to it, right? It's short bursts as opposed to, I've played From Software games before. I know how long some of those bosses can be. So that's why I haven't touched Elden Ring. Too goddamn big. But getting back to Horizon Forbidden West. Horizon Forbidden West isn't just physically big. It was the same issue I had with Grand Theft Auto 5. And this is just my personal opinion. If you love Grand Theft Auto 5, great. I understand that this is a feature, not a bug of the game. But so many of the side things in Grand Theft Auto 5, when I tried to play it, just felt pointless. And I know that the point of Grand Theft Auto games is just fuck around and do whatever you want. But I like some element of connecting when it's a hardwired playable character, a series of hardwired playable characters. I want to connect with Nathan Drake. I want to connect with Kratos. I'm even eventually connecting with Aloy through, my headcanon that she's neurodivergent. All right, a lot of things make more sense. That's my framing. Okay, I'm there now. But so much of the side content for Horizon Forbidden West is the writing is not sharp and refined. Everything takes too freaking long. It's extremely repetitive. And it's just more. Unlike in Ghost of Tsushima, where each of those haikus were a moment of beauty, the bamboo, but I loved the bamboo slices. I loved them. I know some people hated them, but I loved them. Can you pet the fox? The side diversions were breaks. They were pauses from the super stylish, really violent gameplay. And I enjoyed that because they felt like meditations. They didn't feel like filler. Horizon Forbidden West, on the other hand, I cannot stop doing the side missions. And some of them are very good. A lot of them are just more. And I get that some people want these big experiences because, especially if you pay PS5 prices for something, it's expensive. So this idea of value has become very fraught, and so they want these massive experiences, but let's face it. Players can only play so many 200-hour massive open world experiences, right? It's whether it's satisfying that really matters. And when you think of the cost of a movie ticket, it's what is it, like $12 now standard, and you get 3 hours, so $4 an hour. You know, a $200 game should be $800. Why we expect so much content from a game is not right to me. If we're getting the same value, and games are interactive, right? With replay value, you go to a movie, you sit there, you watch it once, you go home. But, you know, even with the 3-hour movie at $4 a minute, even, you know, games, the PS5 game is about $100 up here. It's a 30-hour game, and it's 25 hours, right? But a 30-hour game, perfectly fine, based on the cost of a movie. Why do games have to be so huge to justify the price? Even Spider-Man Miles Morales felt like a good length. I had to learn to play that game again because it had been so long. But then you get something like Resident Evil Village, which is short because it's meant to be played multiple times, but I haven't yet. And I do think that game was a little on the short side, but if I had to choose between an experience that was slightly shorter but felt really creative the way that game did, and bloated, gigantic, I call it the silly putty effect. You know, silly putty, where you smush silly putty on like a comic or something like that, and then you stretched it out and it got all deformed, but if you pulled too much, you got a hole torn in the middle. It was kind of creepy. I'd use like old pulp comics. They were great. It's like, I'm going to pull Spider-Man apart. But then you tore a hole in Spider-Man and I felt terrible. Early empathy exercise. But that's what happens. Eventually, these games just... And I felt this way with Skyrim. I felt this way with even the freaking Hinterlands and Dragon Age Inquisition. They're just big for no reason. And people have not told me about that with Elden Ring. One person said some of the bosses were getting kind of repetitive, but the people I know who played it really, really, really enjoyed it, and that's awesome. I'm not going to comment on it because I haven't played it. And I'm very happy for that game's success. I'm very glad it lived up to the hype. But I just don't have the time to finish the games I want to finish. Because same reason I haven't touched Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Even though I love Assassin's Creed, I have to pick. And certain games that I otherwise would play, I'm not playing because I just don't have the time for these 100-hour experiences over and over and over and over and over. I mean, I might not be done Horizon by the time God of War Ragnarok comes out. Like, jeez, man. And so I'll go back and I'll play, you know, a smaller experience. Like, I'll replay Ultima 4. And, you know, even some of those old Interplay RPGs, those are pretty long. But somehow they don't feel as bleh, just all over the place as these open world monstrosities now. You know, I'll go back and play... I've got the itch to play Cuphead again. Or something like I want to replay Loom. There's a few other games, like smaller games that I know. Maybe I'll play Resident Evil Village again because it's short. I just don't... There is a mental drain when things go on that long, and especially with Horizon, they're level locked. So if you don't want to get your ass thumped, make sure you level, like be a little bit at least above the recommended level. You'll have an easier time of it. But it's just as good as certain elements of the game are, and there's a lot to praise in Horizon Forbidden West, it is too big. The Witcher 3 did not feel too big. It was a big game, but it did not feel too big. There felt like there was an appropriate amount of life in the world, and I did not feel like getting from objective to objective was a time-consuming slog. So that might be the game that is perfectly balanced between massive amount of playtime without feeling too big. Interested in your thoughts. Games you think are too big versus games you think are long but appropriate. I mean, the other ones I just gave up with are the Final Fantasy games, because I get this is just more. This is just more. I'm not really learning about the characters. It's just more. It's stretching play hours. That's all it is. Whereas something like Nier Automata, even with all the multiple endings, I connected to the meaning of what they were doing. It was an atypical structure, and it took a really long time to get what was going on. But it just kept getting better in terms of message and theme. And the multiple endings and all that stuff. It was the point. It wasn't just, oh, let's pad this with playtime so we can justify the production cost. Interested in what you have to say? Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron. Patreon.com/LeannaK, or buy a Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it. Coffee.com/LeannaK. Thanks for watching.